It's become an annual tradition for me to spotlight the most exciting movies for the upcoming year. But this year, in addition to the usual categories of blockbusters and wildcards, I'm adding a new category, and that's the top 10 family movies of 2019. And this is taking the place of regular movies, which I think speaks volumes for the direction that the industry is headed. Yes, these days, largely thanks to Disney, family movies can rival the biggest comic book movies when it comes to both box office and fan interest. But interestingly, this list is only half Disney. You think Disney would have the whole damn thing, or at least the majority of it, but no, just half, as other studios smell money and, like with pretty much everything else these days, are seeing if they can copy Disney's success. All right, so number one, The Lion King. The Lion King is the highest grossing 2D animated movie of all time, and it seems it's just as popular as ever, as its teaser trailer came in just second to Avengers Infinity War when it comes to the most watched trailers in the first 24 hours. Now, Jon Favreau came awfully close to the $1 billion club with his Jungle Book movie. This is his reward for that. Disney was like, can you do it again? But with this? And he's like, I sure can. You're giving me The Lion King? And it's nice for him because, of course, he's now, once again, Disney's favorite son after being kicked out of the Marvel brand. Anyway, it seems he will make the $1 billion club this time, as with an ethnically correct cast, in stark contrast to the 1994 original, The Lion King seems poised to build on the Black Panther craze, which itself, by the way, borrowed heavily from The Lion King. Ah, the circle of movies. All right, number two, Frozen 2. Now, Frozen did join the $1 billion club, and in fact is the highest grossing animated movie period of all time. A merchandising empire for Disney, the Mouse House has fast-tracked a musical and theme park lands. The theme park lands are pretty darn cool. I've been on the ride in Epcot. It's nice. But the recent, let's say unfortunate, Olaf's Christmas special indicates two things. One, we might have reached Frozen overload. And two, with the original film significantly reworked at the last minute, does the Frozen team actually know how to repeat their initial success? But Frozen 2 will feature Elsa and Anna traveling beyond Arendelle. That's exciting. Although I think fans will be like, are you going to put other Disney princesses in there? Especially after, they won't, but I mean, it must be so tempting after the Ralph Breaks the Internet success. And there were a couple of Easter egg cameos in the first one. Anyway, not only are they traveling the world, or at least beyond Arendelle, but fan favorites, Evan Rachel Wood, well, she's a fan favorite now thanks to Westworld, but Sterling K. Brown, who everyone loves, have joined the voice cast. So it's safe to say everyone's going to want to get a look at this thing, even if it is a train wreck. I don't think it's going to be a train wreck, but I don't know if it'll be as big as the first one. All right, number three, Detective Pikachu. Look at how high Warner Brothers is on this list. Oh yes, Warner Brothers is always looking for a way to stick it to the mouse. And while they've made a bit of a mess of their DC and Wizarding World brands, now they have a new brand to hopefully not mess up, and that's Pokemon. The first trailer for this live-action movie looks surprisingly promising, even with Deadpool Pikachu, and also showed huge fan interest. This hits theaters May 10th, and yes, Warner Brothers ain't sitting out summer in 2019. For those of you who don't know, they infamously admitted they sat out 2018 for the summer because they didn't want to compete with Disney. All right, number four, Toy Story 4. And one casualty of the Detective Pikachu full trailer was Toy Story 4's teasers, plural, which were obliterated by the little guy. And, Toy Story even released one the next day. The first one went head-to-head with Detective Pikachu, but then they were like, hey, how about this one? And people are like, no, I'm still watching the Detective Pikachu trailer. Oh, but still, Toy Story is the crown jewel of Pixar, and many a childhood. Plus, the Crying Factory seems to be back in full force as Forky hints at dealing with some hot-button social issues. Hello, award season! Also, Key and Peele and Keanu Reeves join the voice cast, and who's gonna miss that? Number 5 is Aladdin, and speaking of the nostalgia play that's all the rage in Hollywood these days, Few things tap into it as deeply as the Disney live-action remake, and the mouse has 3 this year. Now, Aladdin, along with The Lion King, is one of the biggest hits from the Disney Renaissance. Oh, don't do it all at once, Disney. I hope it's not overload. The other studios, they're sweating it up big time. But I mean, Guy Ritchie and most of the cast have made everyone a little bit nervous. And that weak teaser trailer didn't help either. But this movie has a friend in Will Smith as the genie, who will surely drag it across the finish line. Although Will Smith himself has at least 3 movies in 2019. So he'll be fighting overexposure as well. All right, number 6, Dumbo. Who'd have thought that remaking a little, very old movie like Dumbo, it certainly made an impression when it was released, but it's, again, so long ago, and the older Disney properties haven't had the same staying power so much. Although people who love Dumbo really love Dumbo. Go find one and ask them about it, and they will tell you that. Anyway, when you pair that very old movie with a washed-up director like Tim Burton, who would have guessed that it would captivate as much as it does? You think Pixar makes you cry? Tim Burton's like, hold my beer, with the saddest baby elephant we've ever seen realized on film. Even Chris Evans tweeted about how sad this movie looks. Also, Burton has opted, interestingly, for bigger animation-like eyes and expressions on his animal star, while Jon Favreau at The Lion King is going for realism, and that's been a point of discussion already. So we'll see which audiences and critics prefer when both movies hit theaters. Then number 7, The Secret Life of Pets. Illumination finally comes on the board. A little lower than they usually are, but they seem to have lost a bit of momentum with their past few projects. You know what else they've lost? The star of this movie, as for obvious reasons, Louis C.K. can no longer voice the lead character in a family movie. He has been replaced with Patton Oswalt, who does voiceovers in pretty much everything. Talk about overexposure. Summer 2019 is a very crowded movie season, but perhaps new voice cast members here, Tiffany Haddish and Harrison freaking Ford. He doesn't want to be Han Solo anymore, but he will be in The Secret Life of Pets. Harrison Ford, we want to love you, but you make it so difficult. Anyway, perhaps their involvement can keep audiences' tails wagging. The number 8, Dora the Explorer. Can this famous Nickelodeon brand capitalize on Coco's success? Yes, Latino audiences are hungry for representation, and Paramount is hoping they'll be happy with this live-action Dora, which was rumored to be involved with Michael Bay, but that turned out to not be the case. Although I think that still haunts this film, especially because star Isabel Moner was in his last Transformers movie. Anyway, Muppets and Alice Helmer James Bobbin will direct Moner as Dora, Eva Longoria and Michael Pena as her parents, and Mexican comedy superstar Eugenio Derbez. I love Eugenio Derbez so much. He's so great. Just can't cross over to the United States, unfortunately. I mean, he's the most successful foreign star that, recently, but he just can't really legitimately come over. And he's trying so hard. And this is one of those efforts. And he's going to be the villain in this movie. Now, this could end up like Spy Kids, sure, but don't forget that the first Spy Kids was actually a pretty big hit. And Robert Rodriguez doesn't get any credit for representation. He still doesn't get any credit for representation. He must be like, what the heck? He was ahead of his time, but he's still making movies today, and he's still not getting any credit for it. I mean, Alita, Battle Angel, is played by a Latina actress. All right, anyway. Number 9, Sonic the Hedgehog. Then, because supposedly Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog will join Detective Pikachu, not in the same movie, but they will both be on the big screen in 2019, which could make this quite the year for video game fans. Ben Schwartz voices Sonic, while the live-action cast consists of James Marsden, Tika Sumpter, and Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, with Paramount, again, surely hoping for a Grinch-like performance. With Jim Carrey, you never know what you're going to get. Sales aren't quite as strong for Sonic as they once were, so this is another nostalgia play. Then finally, number 10 is Little Women. And look who made this list, Amy Pascal. Wow, she's really on a roll, and I think nobody should underestimate Amy Pascal these days. She is producing this remake for Sony, and she worked very hard to land director Greta Gerwig hot after her awards darling Lady Bird. And also Sarah Polley is scripting. Oh, this is very well constructed. It would seem that Amy Pascal learned her lesson from her all-female Ghostbusters. Here she has another all-star female cast with Meryl Streep, Emma Watson, Saoirse Ronan, also from Lady Bird, and Laura Dern, as well as male actors Timothée Chalamet and Bob Odenkirk. What a delightful addition. It'll be tough to beat the 1933 and 1994 versions. There are so many film versions of this famous novel, but those are the most famous. But this Christmas, it's a Christmas movie. This Christmas 2019 release. I mean, it's not just coming out at Christmas, but it's Christmas themed, so that's always nice. It should be a strong box office and awards contender. So that's my list of the top 10 family movies hitting theaters in 2019. I'm very excited to hear your own thoughts down below, as well as your rankings. And be sure to check out, as always, some other videos right now.